So the first fragrance on this list is a compliment monster. It's warm, sweet, and a bit spicy. It's also relatively easy to find, isn't coming from a niche house, nor an expensive brand. Now, if you've watched a few of my videos, you guys know that I love Paco Rabanne and the 1 million line. That being said, for many, they're cloying. They're a bit overly sweet. And no, my first pick is not coming from Carolina Herrera's Bad Boy line, which actually I've said great things about, except for that tacky bottle. But overall, the juice here is pretty good. Nor is my first pick going to be Leighton from Parfums de Marly, an excellent fragrance, but it doesn't have the nostalgia for me. And that nostalgia is important because the memories we associate with a fragrance often determine how much we love it. Because in this first category, even though I wear Tom Ford Noir Extreme probably more than my top pick here, and even though Versace Eros is more practical, this number one pick just simply has meaning to me and I love it. The fragrance I'm talking about, gentlemen, that's starting off this list, Viktor & Rolf's Spice Bomb. Top notes here are pink pepper, elamine, bergamot, grapefruit. In the middle, we've got cinnamon, saffron, and paprika. At the base, tobacco, leather, and vetiver. It's a winter-fall fragrance that has about 8 hours of longevity and great projection. We're talking about 2 feet. Now, what about Spice Bomb Extreme? Isn't that one stronger? Isn't that one even better? Or what about the flanker, Spice Bomb Infrared? I heard this one's got a stronger cinnamon note and that the ladies love it. All of that may be true, but here's the story, gents. When I first started getting into fragrances, Viktor & Rolf had sent this to me, and for a good month, my son and I, this was our go-to fragrance, and I've just got so many great memories associated with this particular scent. I probably spent 8 hours going through my entire collection of over 500 fragrances and putting them into categories. And there is not a set definition here because many fragrances actually fall into multiple categories. And really quick, gents, you may be wondering what's the fragrance I'm wearing today. When I was looking at my top 10 and I had to make a choice, guys, find out that answer at the end of the video when I reveal the final choice. So what fragrance then is next on my list? Well, I wanted something that's going to put hair on your chest. An animalistic fragrance. One that, just makes you smell like a man. In that same vein, we've got Dior Fahrenheit. For many men, just the go-to masculine scent. You've got gasoline mixed in with a leather jacket, mixed in with cutting the grass. It's the violet leaf that really gives it that unique smell. Now, I almost went niche here with Naughton & Wilson's Chypre Fulminaire. This fragrance is really unique with the citrus, with the amber, a bit of woody. You've got floral in there with earthy notes. In fact, now that I'm spraying this here in the office, I feel bad this isn't in my top 10. Maybe I'd give it number 11, but just absolutely beautiful. Nope, the fragrance I'm going to go with right now is a little bit easier to find. This one is going to be Chanel's Antaeus. And when I say easier to find, you're probably going to be best purchasing it online. This one has been around for a while, and it does have very strong animalistic notes. So you may want to get a sample before you go off and buy this. I like wearing this one because, you just wear this and you feel like you're Tom Selleck back in the 1970s. Now, this next fragrance was a little bit harder for me to put on the list because I don't really wear it very often, but when I do, when I want to pick me up, I'm reaching for this fragrance. Now, it's not this one. This one I've actually had at the top of my list years ago, and I still want to put it in here because if it is incredibly hot and I want just a really nice, non-offensive, just beautiful scent, this is what I'm going to reach for. You see, Dior Higher has this really interesting pear note. That being said, it doesn't have much longevity. It doesn't have much strength. It's not going to project unless you're really sweat. Now, the fragrance I'm going to talk about is a bit stronger. In fact, it's got a unique coconut note. Not this fragrance right here, although Jean-Paul Gaultier's Le Beau has been doing really well. A lot of people love it, and I highly rate this one as well. So, but it's not this one. Nope, the fragrance on today's list is going to be Loewe's Paula's Ibiza. This fragrance is a unisex fragrance, relatively simple, but I have to say I absolutely love it. Yes, it's a linear fragrance. The notes at the top are galbanum, coconut, mandarin orange, in the middle driftwood and narcissus, and at the base ambergris, patchouli, and vanilla. Now, a lot of guys don't like coconut note because they feel it's too feminine or it reminds them of suntan lotion. This one does neither, and that's why I love this fragrance. Now, the fragrances in this category give a variety of different scents. In this case, both of these have more of a metallic note, which I really like, but I wouldn't place them in my top 10. More commonly, though, we're going to see the note of vetiver. Tom Ford's Gray Vetiver. This is one of the best options out there, although many people will say it's a bit expensive, but is really smooth, highly recommended. That being said, if you're on a tighter budget, if you want a great house that really doesn't get talked about a lot, check out Guerlain and their vetiver. They've also got an extreme vetiver, which is just a little bit stronger, more expensive. I just simply get a big bottle of the regular stuff. What's nice about vetiver, especially if you're not really big into fragrances, this is one that you can just spray on and go. You don't have to think about it. It is a go-to for a guy that really isn't into fragrances. He just wants to smell good. And speaking of smelling smelling goods, let's talk about the next category that I definitely would have in my top 10, and that is gourmands. So if you're not familiar, gourmand fragrances are going to be those that make you almost smell like something that is edible. Now, over 20 years ago, Mugler jumped on the map with Amen. This fragrance right here made a man smell like chocolate, and believe it or not, the ladies loved it. That being said, I think the original Amen is a bit dated, so I really like a lot of the flanker variations. Tonka is really nice in addition to pure malt. That being said, I've pretty much moved on from Mugler and I've gone over to Kilian because I don't drink anymore, but I have to say that they create so many alcoholic smelling fragrances that just blow me away. They're so realistic. They smell so damn good. Highly recommend Black Phantom. A lot of people say, oh, it's, too extreme. No, it's chocolatey. It's beautiful. It smells really realistic. Apple Brandy, I did as a blind buy and I absolutely love it. I also recently picked up Straight to Heaven and Gold Night, both great choices for me. But again, I would recommend that you get your nose on these. Don't blind buy. And the reason being is they're incredibly expensive, and there are other gourmands that if you're going through a duty-free, you need to get your nose on Black Orchid. And many of you guys that have watched my videos know that this is easily in my top 3 fragrances, and it's not changing here. This would be in my top 10, my number 1 go-to gourmand. It's going to be the unique Mexican chocolate note mixed in with the truffle. This fragrance is so unique, and it's very different than the Parfum. And if you see Velvet Orchid, that one is not the same. Black Orchid, the one that comes in the black bottle here, this is the one that's highly recommended. Expensive? Yes. Worth it? 100%. But get your nose on it first to make sure it's good for you. Now, gents, if you've ever worn a fragrance that's so powerful it's setting off smoke alarms, smash the like button. Now, this next set of fragrances is easily the best selling fragrances out there for men. And I think a majority of you guys, if you do only have 1 or 2 fragrances, you're going to own a fragrance in this category. I'm talking fresh aromatics, fresh aquatics. These fragrances either are going to remind you of the ocean, they're going to remind you of summer, they are going to have a fresh, basically uplifting type of vibe to them. And you also know a lot of these fragrances sell well because there are so many variations. When it comes to light blue, yeah, Dolce & Gabbana has bet the farm on this. They've got like 30, it seems like, flankers of the original. And by the way, both of these, Versace's Manor Fresh or Dolce & Gabbana's Light Blue Eau Intense, these are excellent choices. And that's what I love about this category. There were so many good choices out there because I could have chosen any of these. That being said, you don't have to spend $1 million. You can go out there, yes, and buy Tom Ford Oud Mineral. You're going to smell like a sexy pirate, but you're also going to spend a lot of money. You can spend 1/15th, 1/20th of the price, get 2 to 3 times as much. Yeah, Lotus Pour Homme, Issey Miyake. This one's been around for a long time. Again, like 25 different flankers out there, but just get the original. It actually doesn't smell dated, and the yuzu note is going to make this thing last all day. And there are all types and variations out there because if you want to tune down that aquatic note, you want something a little bit more sophisticated. Okay, Costa Azura, you've got the Eau de Parfum and the Parfum version. There really isn't much of a difference. This one lasts a little bit longer, costs a lot more. I would just simply go with this, buy 2 bottles. Or if you want more of the aquatic notes, Bulgari makes a great bottle, a very unique bottle with Aqua Pour Homme. This thing, I never did figure out how exactly to set it on the shelf. Actually, I don't like the way it sits, but that being said, you got to give them, points for uniqueness on the bottle design. And before I announce my go-to 2 other great picks, Versace's Pour Homme and Creed's Erolfa. If you don't know the story of this one, actually, he took the founder, the owner of Creed at the time, he took his family's names and initials, and that's where Erolfa comes from. But absolutely beautiful fragrance. I know it's made one of my top 10 lists before, so I wanted to mention it. All that being said, 10 for the rest of my life, believe it or not, Acqua di Gio, the new Eau de Parfum. So gents, if you've seen in past videos, I own pretty much every Acqua di Gio. And I would say that this new Eau de Parfum is a modern version of the original, incredibly versatile. Doesn't have that much of oceanic. If you want, an ocean type smell, definitely check out Profondo. And if you want something that's a bit more versatile, year-round wear, check out Profumo. But for a no-brainer freshie that's going to get you compliments and is easy to find, guys, I just got to give it to Acqua di Gio. Absolutely love this new EDP. Now, the next fragrance on this list is going to be deep, dark, rich, with just a bit of sweetness. In fact, the sweetness is definitely not overpowering like the earlier ones I talked about with the vanilla note. No, this sweetness is hidden in there. You almost have to get close. I personally love fragrances like this because they're great for wearing with a sweater. They're great just simply on a cool winter day, or even your summer, you're going to be out on the water. You want something whenever someone's getting close. These are great date fragrances. That being said, you got to be comfortable in who you are. To be able to pull off tobacco vanilla, understand this is going to project. You need to be wearing this for yourself. Tuscan sheepskin leather, this one right here, I actually like the bit of raspberry in there, really sweet, nice, but you don't pick it up at first. Initially, people are they're gonna smell the leather, and it's not gonna be for everybody. Not to say that choosing the fragrance in this category was difficult. There are so many new great ones like Sauvage Elixir or Killian's Angel Share that fit the category. And when you go out there and you smell these fragrances, they are absolutely amazing. So I highly recommend, again, you getting into a store and getting your nose on these and finding the one that suits you. That being said, I like to be consistent. And this fragrance, if you've watched my channel, has popped up in my top 3 again and again. Oftentimes, number 1, Parfums de Marly Carlisle. Now, the top notes here are nutmeg and green apple. In the middle, we've got tonka bean and rose. At the base, patchouli and vanilla. Now, that may not sound like much, but for years, this fragrance has captivated me. Now, during the typical winter, I'm wearing this thing at least a dozen times, which actually says a lot because I've got so many different fragrances I'm trying to rotate through. There have been instances that I'm, going to be going out and I'm like, you know what? I need to go shower, clean up again after I already shower in the morning so that I can put on this fragrance because it just smells that damn good. And if you're looking for a fragrance that smells very similar, check out Virtus by Navitus Parfums. My friend Steven, this is one of his fragrances, highly recommended. Now, gents, if you ever looked at what's behind me, no, I'm not talking about Sex Panther. What I'm talking about is the Mission fragrance set. But seriously, gents, if you haven't heard the story, you guys know I got deep into fragrances. And one thing that amazed me is the way that they could affect your mindset. So I thought, why isn't there a set of fragrances out there that actually can help you become a better man? Basically, become more honorable, more courageous, more committed to accomplishing your goals. So that's exactly what we did at Mission Fragrances. We developed 3 unique scents, scent triggers to be exact, that when you wear these, you are going to have a shift in your mindset. And let me be clear, this isn't essential oils. It's leveraging the science of operational conditioning. If you're familiar with that, it's been around for over 100 years. And we already do this accidentally with so many fragrances. Coffee being an example. You smell this and it wakes you up in the morning. But what if you could actually have certain scents that would put you in the right mindset so that you could be more efficient, so that you could feel more competent doing your job? Now, we only make these sets available for purchase for a limited time. So you've got to go to Mission Fragrances, enter your email to be notified the next time they're on sale. If this at all sounds interesting, go to missionfragrances.com to learn more. The next category I want to talk about are powdery fragrances. Now, I didn't put these in my top 10. I do like them. Maybe they'd be in my top 20, top 30, but not my top 10. That being said, I understand so many of you guys love these type of scents because they're incredibly versatile. They're not offensive. They are soft. They've got, and what makes a powdery fragrance, usually you're going to see a bit of musk in that at the base. At the top, you're going to see a type of floral note, like orris, sometimes rose, and occasionally you'll see a touch of vanilla. Now, the Dior Homme line and variations like Dior Homme Intense are very popular out there for good reason. They are just simple, go-to, easy fragrances. For a lot of guys that simply want to own one fragrance, you couldn't go wrong, honestly, with just simply going with Dior Homme. The same thing to be said about Givenchy, an amazing house. And if you were just to go with the Eau de Parfum, this one, could be your signature scent if you only wanted to have one. That being said, the fragrance that I would recommend from this category starting with, which has quality ingredients and just is a go-to for so many guys out there, yet isn't redundant and really, you just could easily be your signature scent, is going to be Prada Homme. Seriously, for a professional man that wanted something that is a no-brainer, he can wear in any occasion, you can't go wrong with this one. That being said, I know some of you guys want a fragrance with a bit more of the it factor. And one of the key ingredients is going to be ambergris. You're going to see this, and this is Creed Aventus. If you're not familiar, this for many people is the king of fragrances. It is not going to be in my top 10, an amazing fragrance. And if you're looking for a cheaper alternative that actually has more longevity, check out Club de Nuit Man Intense or Intense Man, one of the two. Armaf makes this cologne, and they've got a few variations. This one is amazing, and I'd have to say some people think it's even better than the original, but I'd say get your nose on the original. Either one of these, though, could have made my top 10, because in this category, which I'm going to consider fresh, bright, with a bit of sweetness, these fragrances have, I think, more of an it factor, meaning that I think you're going to get compliments where you least expect it. So Raja Elysium, if you haven't seen this fragrance, it's actually one of his more affordable fragrances in the line, which is really nice because it is incredibly just well-liked. I think it can be well-received. You can't go wrong with this fragrance. The brightness of the opening is really unmatched in a lot of different fragrances out there. I wish it had more projection in longevity, but it's still not bad for a Raja Parfum. That being said, we've got Tiffany & Company. This one For Him really flies under the radar, but it does have that it factor. I think it's the musk down at the base, which sticks around and I find actually gets good compliments. All that being said, those last two I feel are combined in the Scent of Peace. This is from Bond number 9 and is one of my favorite fragrances in my collection. Hence, it would be one of my top 10 for life. The top notes here are going to be pineapple, juniper berry, bergamot. In the middle, we've got currant buds. At the base, cedar and vetiver. It's got a bright, crisp opening. It has a bit of sweetness. It's got great longevity and projection. To me, this is everything that Aventus wants to be, and what I like is it still flies under the radar for most people. It is, not as expensive as Aventus, but it still is pretty pricey though. Now, really quick, gents, 2 honorable mentions. I didn't have these on my list because I already had the fragrances broken out, and I realized, oh my gosh, this was hard. So I've got Green Irish Tweed by Creed. An amazing fragrance. If you're looking for something bright, clean, incredibly versatile, could be a signature scent, check this one out. Or Terre d'Hermes, a little bit lower in price. That being said, it is no lower in quality, and this one is a sleeper. So many guys wear this fragrance and get compliments all over the place. There's something about this dirty orange that the ladies love. Now, what if you just want bright, crisp, and clean? You're looking for something that's got a citrus top with a bit of musk at the base. So you can't really go wrong with John Varvatos Artisan here, except maybe I wish it had a bit more longevity. In addition, we've got Dior Homme Sport. I also like actually this is the cologne. The Sport though could have easily been on this list. Both of those right there, very similar, although this one has more of a citrus top. That being said, if you're looking around at discounters, you may be able to find the original Dior Sauvage. This one came out, I think in '66, and it's been around and is a classic for a reason. It's also a relatively complex fragrance, but you're also going to see the new one out there. And the Parfum really flew under the radar. Highly recommend. Again, you want a nice, strong citrus top with great longevity. That being said, if I had to choose one, it would be Terre d'Hermes' Eau Chivrée. This is, of all the 10, this is probably the most recent release. Just came out this last year, and I have to say that it is a masterpiece when it comes to a hot weather fragrance. If it is over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, over 40 degrees Celsius, this would be a fragrance that you could pour on, and yeah, you're just going to smell great even though you're sweating. All right, so what fragrance am I wearing today? I had these top 10. I'm like, you know what? What's my dumb reach? Well, it wasn't Dior Sauvage. And I can see why for many people, this is just their only go-to fragrance because it smells great. It gets compliments. And there are other options though, especially if you're looking at blue fragrances. Now, on my other hand here, I've got Narciso Rodriguez's For Him Blue Noir, and this is the new Eau de Parfum. And even though I love this fragrance, I don't recommend them much on my channel because they're relatively hard to find. These guys need to work on their distribution. Nope, the fragrance I'm wearing today is Chanel's Bleu de Chanel, but it's not the Eau de Toilette. It's not the Eau de Parfum. No, it is the Parfum. Versatile, timeless, smooth, clean, crisp. You can dress this thing up. You can dress it down. This is a no-brainer. And when I was looking at all these fragrances today, I was like, you know what? What can I wear? It's rainy outside. It's relatively cool for this time of the year. Bleu de Chanel Parfum, that sounds absolutely perfect. So that's it, gents. What'd you think of the top 10? Let me know in the comments below. All right, gentlemen, so what video to watch next? How about how to make your fragrance last longer? Seriously, you go out there and you buy that bottle and you want to make that fragrance last all day without having to, spray like 30 or 40 sprays. Guys, I got you covered in this video right here.